welcome to KCH42. Today we're going to be playing Pokemon Emerald Blitz, a ROM hack with drafted Pokemon, randomized gym order, and no storyline. Typically when you play the game, you draft your team against other people, but today we're going to be using the weekly box, a pre-made team of 8 Pokemon that I select every week for the community to race each other. So off we go with another weekly box. This is week 10. I think I might have called last week's week 10 accidentally because I just had the numbers down wrong. But this box, I'm very interested in quite a few Pokemon here. There's a lot of Pokemon that I normally don't draft, but that I think could be pretty good in the right situation, and there are a lot that people in the community normally draft a lot that are undervalued by other people. Namely Elekid. I know Jason always gets that. Then you have Riolu, that I know Beastly and Livy get a bunch. And Salandit, who Freeze gets a lot of the time. So, a lot of intrigue here for me. We end up getting Brawly 1, which is pretty good for this box, because we have a Psychic type, a Flying type, and a third Fighting Resist with the Salandit. So we're going to get in. I'm going to end up leading Ducklet, because 2 Aerial Aces will be able to deal with Machop, and then I believe this Ducklet should just be able to pretty much sweep all of Brawly 1. We get hit by Brutal Swing, but that's okay. And Ducklet on Gym 1 is pretty good stats for it. The one issue with Ducklet is that you don't evolve until Gym 6 at level 35. So if you get, say, Flannery 5 or Flannery 6, it becomes a bit difficult with Ducklet. I think if you were to get no Flannery before Eevee Claim, I think you have to go Vaporeon pretty much, because Flannery 5 or 6 with this box feels pretty hard to do. So, as we saw, Brawly, very easy fight. Because it's a Guru team, I'm going to be taking Dewford as Gym 2, like I like to do. I end up picking up this Heart Scale, just kind of out of habit, didn't really need it in the grand scheme of things. We get Norman 2, who... It's kind of fortunate that we get Norman 2, because it means that we can get the Eevee Baby Doll Eyes tech in versus the Vigoroth. I much prefer Norman 2 to Norman 3, because Vigoroth Uproar is a very big threat if you're not able to get the drop on it like you are for Baby Doll Eyes dropping Vigoroth attack. So we're leveling everybody up, seeing what moves we get. With Trico, you want to cancel the evolution, typically, until Gym 3, because Trico learns Giga Drain at, I think, level 22 or level 23. And if you don't get Giga Drain on Trico, you end up having to buy the TM for it, and you don't get it until Gym 5. But here it ends up being fine, because I kind of like having Grovyle evolve for this gym. Because just having a stronger Pokemon at a pretty difficult gym is valuable. This guy, I'm definitely going to want to get a Leech Seed off on the Vigoroth with. I think I might even end up getting one off on the Spinda, just because I don't want to risk hitting myself in Confusion Punch. So yeah, we get the Leech Seed off. Because the Spinda sees us use a status move or a status adjacent move, I know that it's going to click Encore. So I know I can go in Riolu, I can get the Force Palm off, and Spinda ends up being paralyzed, so it doesn't even confuse me. So this Person Berry on Riolu ends up being kind of worthless. But now we go into Nosepass for Facade. Now we're going to put in Eevee on the Trailblaze, because Vigoroth sees super effective Trailblaze, which will do a lot less damage to Eevee than a Facade will. And as we can see here, we're able to get 2 Baby Doll Eyes off, and this makes the Vigoroth much less of a challenge to fight. So we get the Nosepass in because we want to get another Trailblaze in for Riolu if we end up getting him in. But it ends up going for Beat Up, I think, just because it sees that it's doing such little damage. But now I'm thinking, okay, I want to KO this with Riolu, so now I'm going to get Facade in and counter it with Counter. I know that Norman's going to go for Heal here, because it sees that Counter would kill. So I can get a Force Palm down, counter it, and then we outspeed with Quick Attack. And that's that Vigoroth down, which is the main concern for this gym. And now it's just a matter of getting through the Zigzagoon and the Zorua. This is the Zorua, as we can tell from the Shadow Snake. And fortunately, we just have our Nose Pass, who can be a very nice wall for this. We'll take a lot of damage with this guy. Unfortunately, we don't get crit or something here, because that would have complicated the fight a lot. But Norman 2 is a decent Norman to get. You'd kind of prefer to get Norman 1 because it still has the Slack Off, which is very easy to play around, but realistically, this is a decent gym to get it as well. And that ends up being Norman 2 down. And an important thing to remember after beating Gym 2 is to always Guru your Pokemon. And in this box, Impidimp is a Guru Pokemon. So I'm going to go to Slateport thinking I need to Guru my Pokemon. I completely forget what I'm doing, and I just go check the rental. And it's another Bouffalant, because that's the only rental I get, and I just completely forget Guru. Which I end up realizing when I get into the third gym, but not until it's too late. And we're putting Riolu in the daycare because we want to get Meteor Mash on that Pokemon as quickly as possible. We already beat Norman, so there's not really that big of a need for keeping Riolu on the team. Only other gym you really would want it for is Roxanne, and we should be fine versus Roxanne with Grovyle. And we have kind of just a decent team in general. Elekid for the Relicanth as well if we need it. Break class in case of emergency, but we should be good. So Riolu's in the daycare. We end up rolling Flannery 3, which is great for Ducklet because it means Ducklet is still decently strong for this. In comparison to some of the later Flannerys where she gets Alola Marowak. But it is still going to be a slog, this fight, because Ducklet does not do a lot of damage, especially in Sun, and my only other real damaging Pokemon in this fight is Nosepass, with either Rock Throw or Rock Slide, I forget what. But Ducklet does not one-shot a Slugma with Water Pulse, and we do not get the heal out. So that means it's correct that I go Chesoberry on Ducklet, which is nice, but now we're up into the Torkoal, and I'm thinking, okay, this is how much damage my Water Pulse does. Gets the Sunny Day off. I do get the Confusion, which is very nice, but I'm going to be dealing such little damage here. And I'm Water Sporting, thinking it's going to Attract, and then I'm going to switch out. It ends up hitting itself in Confusion, so I'm able to get one more Water Pulse out. But now it goes Attract, and this is where we start the switching, I believe. Because I really don't like staying in on Attract when I'm just going to get hit by Overheat, so we switch into Nosepass. Nosepass tanks an Overheat. Now, unfortunately, Nosepass is very slow. So we end up getting hit by Attract, but I'm kind of fine leaving Nosepass out here and just burning through some of the Overheat PP, some of the Sunny Day turns. So as we can see, Nosepass just tanking everything, gets a Rock Slide off, does a decent amount of damage, does more damage than Sun-resisted Water Pulse, so there's at least that, but the issue comes when I'm getting immobilized by Attract every other turn. So, end up missing again. This is one of the last turns of Sunlight, which I know, so I'm going to go Ducklet here. Overheat misses. Unfortunately, because I got immobilized by Love so many times, the Torkoal lives my Water Pulse, which means it gets to set up Sunny Day again, and now we're back at square one. The Torkoal's full HP, it attracts us. We have Water Sport up, fortunately, but now it's, again, just going to be, we're going to be here forever. So I'm thinking, how can I beat this? I'm pretty sure he's out of Overheat PP, so in comes the Landit just to poison it, to take it out slowly. Realistically, maybe I should have done this even earlier, just because it takes so long to beat this fight. But now I'm like, okay, it doesn't have Overheat PP, it's only going to go Sunny Day and Smog. We can just start putting in random things, and I'm just going to test, does Shockwave do more damage, or does Low Kick do more damage? Again, my Elekid is also male, because every single one of my Pokemon is male, which is annoying for this gym. And now it's just, yeah, we're just suffering. Ducklet comes in, gets poisoned. We're going to knock out the Torkoal finally after this poison. And then this is one of the longest Flannery 3s I've ever had, just because this box really does not have that much damage in it. And we tank overheats. I should have water sported. I was considering water sporting, but I'm like, I've spent so much time on this battle. I just want it to be over. And I ended up kind of risking it when I didn't think I was, and when I really didn't need to. But fortunately, we're able to get Elekid in. Elekid's going to take out the Vulpix after a couple more turns. And then we're going to get Numel in. And because we're an electric type, we know it's going to go for ground move. Chimecho has Levitate, and we'll be able to knock this guy out with a couple extra sensories. So this was a very difficult fight, and when I was making this box, I kind of switched the Pokemon around a little bit because I wanted there to be 3 Flannery resists, but I kind of didn't expect it to be this weak in early Flannery, just because especially the Torkoal has such high defense, and or has such high defense for Nose Pass, and Sunny Day really neutralizes a lot of the damage that Ducklet's able to do. So we're able to get the Guru for Impidimp. We're going to pick Riolu back up. I'm contemplating whether or not I want to put Elekid in now for Ice Punch, but I don't think I can manage it. We do end up getting Roxanne, so Elekid can be nice here for the Relicanth. But the main carry in this gym should be Grovyle, who, even though I don't have Giga Drain, is still just going to be able to click Mega Drain on the Graveler and on the Relicanth and do pretty well in this fight. So now we're just evolving everybody. I'm trying to consider if I want to take Power Gem. I think I end up going it over Rock Slide because Nose Pass's special attack is better than its physical. Leaf Blade's always a great move to get for Grovyle. Just, you have coverage. It's a pretty good move as well, even though Grovyle and Sceptile's attacks aren't its best stats. And now we get into Roxanne. So opening into the Graveler, Mega Drain should do more damage to it because Graveler has such high defense. Out comes Arcanine, so we can be pretty sure that this thing's going to be clicking Fire Fang here, so I go Nose Pass. I realize here that I did not put any berries on my Pokemon, which could really come back to bite me here. Looks like Nose Pass Power Gem does not quite do half of Arcanine's health, which is unfortunate. I think we can tank one more Rock Tomb here, and we barely do. We live with 3 HP, so now the Arcanine's probably clicking any move, and I'm trying to think, okay, what can I put in who will do the best in this? For some reason, I put Elekid thinking it can tank a Rock Tomb. It very much cannot tank more than one Rock Tomb. So I say, okay, I'll go into Morgrem. We get a Fake Out in for a bit of chip, Sucker Punch, just to guarantee it. We see Relicanth, so this is a great angle for our Grass type. Throw in Grovyle, we're going to get a Mega Drain off. And the Relicanth clicks another Rock Tomb, which unfortunately slows me. And now Relicanth clicks Flail and one-shots Grovyle from 50 HP. So that's a very unfortunate circumstance. Grovyle is made of so much paper. And I don't really understand what thresholds Flail needs to hit to do that much damage, because when I have Beware and I click Flail at red HP, it does 20 damage. So, unfortunately, we lose Grovyle here, and into this Probopass, I'm just spamming as many charms as I can to get Probopass to have as low an attack as possible, because in Roxanne 4, it only has physical type attacks, so plan is just to get its attack as low as possible, and then we're just going to slowly whittle it down with Chimecho, and going to end up throwing Elekid in to get a couple low kicks in, just to kill it while it's asleep. And we actually end up only needing a single low kick, which is very nice. So now we're through 4 gyms. We've lost Grovyle, which is pretty rough. We're going to go ahead and get some stones for our Nose Pass. We're going to get all the TMs we need. Since we forgot to get Giga Drain, we're going to buy that for... I think I bought this for Grovyle, forgetting that it just died. But I think there's at least one other Pokemon in my team that can learn it if need be. And I end up going Leafy on this run because my Grovyle died, and I really want a grass type with this box, in my opinion. Especially considering the gyms that I have remaining this game. So, we get the Leafeon, we get the Nose Pass evolved, and now it's just a matter of how do we want to go about beating the last 4 gyms and making sure that I remember that my Grovyle is dead and that I can't use it anymore for future gyms. So for Gym 5, you end up getting Tate and Liza. Leafeon is pretty good for this gym because we have Swords Dance plus Razor Leaf, which is pretty good, especially if we can knock out the Xatu in this gym. And there's not really that much that can deal with Grass type in Tate and Liza 5 outside of the Soul Rock Incinerate, which if the Soul Rock is clicking Incinerate, that's a win. Because alternatively it can click Rock Slide, and that does so much damage, can flinch you, very annoying ability to diverse. I'm contemplating who else I want to keep in the team, because I'm thinking Lucario takes super effective damage to psychic moves, but I leave it in because I don't really have any better option. Ducklet gets too hard countered by the rock type moves, same thing with Salandit. So this is my team. Also, Salandit's not evolved yet for this gym. It evolves at level 33, so these are the Pokemon for some reason I'm contemplating, do I leave Lucario in turn 1 and go for like a fake out strat with Morgrim and try to one-shot something with the Lucario, but I think it's a gimmick, so I go Electabuzz. We're going to flinch the Baltoy and try to one-shot the Xatu. We don't quite get it, but the Electabuzz, I am just going to be able to keep it in. Xatu goes for the heal, which I know, which is why I double target the Xatu. We go ahead and knock it out. And this Bulldoze is annoying, but I'm not really going to be keeping Electabuzz in that much longer. I think I might leave it in for one more move here just to get a bit more damage down. Lunatone ends up going for Power Gem, and I really did not expect it to go A for the Morgrim and B for it to one-shot the Morgrim. I thought it was going to go for Electabuzz. Honestly, it's probably good that it didn't, because my Electabuzz would have died. And now I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure Baltoy is still going to go for Bulldoze, so we can go ahead and switch in Chimecho for the Levitate. We'll get the +1 attack in for Leafeon so that these Razor Leafs start hitting really hard. And now we just, we want to target that Lunatone. I think we're going to end up knocking both of these Pokemon out this turn with one Razor Leaf from Leafeon. Shadow Ball gets Lunatone down to red, gets a berry. Razor Leaf finishes them both off. And now the only Pokemon in the back is a Solrock, who I know here is going to click Incinerate because it sees that I still have berries. It's super effective in a Leafeon, but there's no world that kills my Leafeon. And now we get a crit to simplify it. So, pretty easy Tate and Liza 5, aside from Morgrim dying, which is actually a pretty big loss because I wanted to try that guy in the E4. But now I'm going back for some reason. Maybe I want to rental, but then I think, no, I really want EQ. I want to make sure that I have enough money left for it. And then I do end up getting the Bouffalant for whatever my Gym 6 ends up being, just because I think I already have Mega. I don't really need that many TMs left. And if I can re-roll this rental, then A, I get to use a decently strong rental in Bouffalant for Gym 6, which could be helpful. And maybe I'll end up getting, say, a Heracross or a Pinsir or something that would fit really well into my team for the E4 from the rental to steal going into Gym 4. So into Juan Wallace, we're going to go ahead and get our Bouffalant in. We'll refresh everybody's HP items and make sure, hopefully, that everybody's holding a Citrus Berry perfect. And then I'm looking through my moves. Nothing really that I really want to teach my team. I end up going for Calm Mind on Lucario, maybe, over Quick Attack, just because I'm thinking Calm Mind into Aura Sphere could be useful here. And then now I'm just thinking, okay, how do I deal with the boosted Dondozo that is being opened with here? And on this side, I'm just going to leave in Lucario and Electabuzz, The Dondozo gets the commander buff, which is what makes it a little bit stressful for this fight, but I'm able to get the paralysis off, which guarantees that Juan and Wallace are going to use their full heal on the Dondozo, which gives me a free turn. That means I set up another Thunder Wave just to guarantee that the second full heal is used this turn, and that I'm able to guarantee keep my Lucario alive, get the kill. We're going to click Swords Dance here to buff the Leafeon, and because we know we're going to one-shot it with Aura Sphere. In comes the Kingdra. I'm assuming that it's going to be clicking Bounce here, so I don't really want to target the Kingdra here, which is why I end up going Aura Sphere on the Tatsugiri. And the Kingdra does end up jumping, which is very good that we targeted the Tatsugiri, so the Tatsugiri's out. Now I know Razor Leaf is going to nuclear one-shot Whiscash, so we can go ahead and drop the Aura Sphere on the Kingdra for a bit of chip damage. Bounce ends up hitting Lucario, doesn't kill and doesn't paralyze, which is huge. And now this fight should pretty much be over. I just need to not let Lucario die. We put in the Bouffalant. Our $8,000 rental Pokemon tanks that one Water Pulse, and then is gonna finish off the Milotic with a Head Charge. So $8,000 for a Pokemon to tank 2 moves and use one move itself is probably bad economics, but I think it's decent. I'm not sure if I actually end up going back to the renter and seeing if it gives me a better Pokemon to rent. I do end up dropping it off just to see. I also get my Citrus Berries, which is an important thing after Gym 6. It's a Comfey, which is a very good Pokemon for E4 in my opinion. Any Draining Kissmon is good. But I just used my Calm Mind TM, and I don't remember if Comfey learns Calm Mind naturally. And for any Draining Kiss Pokemon, you really want it to also have Calm Mind to really get maximum strength out of it. So now we get Winona 7. Late Winonas are very difficult to fight versus. The Braviary has sheer force and does a ton of damage. So I'm a little bit worried about that, but fortunately I have Probopass, who is a brick wall into that. The Braviary can tank the Esper Wings and the Air Slashes and everything very well. So I should be good for this fight. I just need to remember to Linking Cord my Electabuzz so that we get Electivire and that Thunder Punch can really start pumping the damage a little bit. And really the only other threat in this team for the most part is the Altaria. And as long as I put in my either Flying type or Chimecho into Earthquakes, I really should be fine in this fight. I'm not sure if I have Ice Beam on Swanna, but that's also a very good move for this gym. I want to say that this run I didn't get Ice Beam for Swanna. Yeah, it looks like I didn't. But realistically, I should have gone Ice Beam over Sludge Bomb, because Sludge Bomb's not too useful in the gym phase, but Ice Beam definitely can be, especially in the Winona. So Winona opens Tropius. I can click Sludge Bomb or Flamethrower, it doesn't really matter. They get the Sunny Day setup, so I click Nasty Plot for whatever reason here. Kind of just for fun. Honestly, it's kind of stupid. I didn't think that a Flamethrower with the burn damage would have killed, but it ended up, it would have. It's kind of silly. I tanked 30 damage for no reason. But I'm not going to keep this guy in anyways. We're going to go Probopass, as I mentioned before, because look at how much of a wall this guy is. This Braviary can just sweep you, especially if it gets Tailwind set up. And instead, it's doing 20, 30 damage with Esper Wings. So Probopass, very good Mon into the E4. They end up going Pelipper next, which is perfect for my Electivire, because Electivire should outspeed and Nuclear Bomb this guy with a 4 times effective Thunder Punch. Now, we already know this guy's going EQ on Altaria, so in comes Chimecho. Earthquake doesn't do anything. Now, it's going Aerial Ace over Dragon Pulse, because my defense on Chimecho is so low, which was kind of surprising. But I'm kind of just able to wall this for a little bit. I can only tank one more Aerial Ace after this, but I can still get a couple extra sensors off. Fortunately, the last one's a crit, and that's just a question of, okay, who do we put in? I end up going Swanna. We're going to tank an Aerial Ace and miss an Air Slash, which is actually very bad, because we take a lot of unnecessary damage here. We also don't kill with the Air Slash, which really surprised me. And we live 2 HP, which I don't think I needed to do that, but I did. So shout out Swanna for living on 2 HP after missing Air Slash. And now it's just a matter of Electivire again. We're just going up against the Skarmory, click our electric moves, and now we're out of Gym 7, 55 minutes. This is decent pace, not great, not terrible. But we are going to be able to go back to the daycare to put in Electivire, because one of the moves that I value the most in this whole game is Ice Punch, or really just Ice Coverage on a random Pokemon that you have. If you get an Electivire or a Dusclops or a Mightyena or something like that that can get Ice Coverage somehow, I think getting that is really valuable, because there are so many matchups in the E4 where having an Ice-type move is just good. Like, there's a Grass-type Gym Leader, there are a decent amount of Flying types in the E4, there's a Dragon-type trainer, you get Garchomp versus Wally. There's just so many matchups where having Ice-type coverage is great. So I always try to get Ice moves. And my last purchases going into Gym 8 are the Lucario Megastone, just because I know I'm going to get that, and then I also go ahead and grab a Serious Mint, I believe, because my Lucario is minus attack, which is pretty bad, especially for the moveset I think I end up running on it. So we see Watson. I end up fighting this fight with only 5 Pokemon, I think, because the only other Pokemon I have is a Swanna, and there is probably a world where I should still keep Swanna on my team just in case, but I'm not putting the Water Flying type in versus Watson. So my Probopass is slower than the Golem, which is unfortunate, but we're still going to be able to kill this. It does get an Earthquake off, which I forgot. A, that Golem outspeeds me because I'm minus attack, or minus speed, excuse me, and B, that immediately after killing it, it would go Magnezone. I did this line thinking that that Watson would heal the Golem, and he just did not heal the Golem at all. So I end up losing my Probopass, which is kind of fine because I don't think I was going to take it into the E4. And now it's kind of just a matter of, okay, I've got my Lucario out, I've Mega'd it, and I want to just get through as much of this gym as possible. It ends up not even killing the Electrode, which shocked me, that a stab adaptability Aura Sphere does not one-shot an Electrode. That's shocking to me. But I think this fight's going to end up being fine. They get Raichu in, and my Chimecho fortunately has Shadow Ball, so we're going to end up being able to wall this Raichu. And this fight does end up being a lot messier than it needs to be. I end up losing Probopass. I'm risking Lucario to a crit, but when it comes down to it, it's kind of fine. And I have enough Pokemon to still go into the E4 with a full team that is a good team, going into the E4, and unfortunately not punished too hard for my very poor place. So as we get into making our way down to the E4, we're going to pick up Electivire. Now that our Electivire has Ice Punch, we're going to put Swanna on the team. And I think I'm considering here putting Encore on the Salazzle. And I think there's definitely a world where I should. I think that I would replace Toxic with Encore if I were going to do this run again. And I'm also considering if I want a mixed moveset for the Lucario, or if I just want to go all in on physical. I decide I'm going to go all in on physical because I already taught an EQ for Watson 8, and giving it bulk up just makes it that much stronger. So get Ice Beam for the Swan as well for Drake, as You'll hear every single video that I talk about. I love having ice type coverage. We do end up teaching Salazzle Encore just in case we need it for whatever reason. Encore can be a very strong move, especially for fast Pokemon. And for Gym 1, we get Spencer, which is very good for Salazzle believers, because genuinely all that Salazzle has to do is click Nasty Plot into a collection of Sludge Bomb and Flamethrowers. And Salazzle will solo wipe this gym in about 5 moves after this, I believe. And we might get hit by a Mach Punch here and there. We get hit by a Night Slash from Sceptile. But really part of the beauty of Salazzle is that it makes fights like this completely simple. I think we could have gotten crit by both of the moves that we get hit by in this gym, and we would still end up wiping it for free. So very nice that we get Spencer. That we get Spencer. We would have been completely fine with Sydney as well with this box, but it is nice to get. Unfortunately, I believe I invested in double Earthquake TM, and instead of getting Lucy, I get Phoebe. This is a constant recurring theme for me. Honestly, when I draft and when I go into the E4, getting Lucy is so rare for me that I don't even think it's really a possibility. I think that there's something in the ROMs that I get where you can only get Phoebe. So she's Ghost type. I am leading Electivire with a Lumberry because I know, or I think I can two-shot it with Thunder Punches. It ends up not really being the case, but I'm thinking, okay, use Will-O-Wisp originally, so I'm assuming it's going to Wisp me again. It doesn't do that. It Confuse Raise me. So now I think, okay, I'm going to switch out. I know it's going to go EQ, seeing my Poison Fire type, so I'm able to get some chunk in via Chimecho, and now it's just, okay, I'll keep putting other people in just to reset the confusion. We get confused again, of course. And now I'm wondering, I don't know if it does end up going for EQ. I think I just stay in, like, out of frustration at this point, because this Dusclops should not be a problem. Which is kind of stupid. My Electivire takes 100 damage for no reason. And now we're just going to do the same thing, where we switch into a Pokemon that can't get hit by ground moves, and then replace it with a Pokemon that can, that does damage. So in comes the Banette. I know this thing's going for Phantom Force because it's its highest damage move. So I can get a bit chipped down, and now it's just determining what Pokemon do I want to tank the Phantom Force. I go with Lucario, which probably isn't, maybe not the best decision, but I know it's not going to get one shot, and I don't think Lucario's that useful for the rest of this fight. Now this Typhlosion is going to hurt, so I have to figure out something that I can switch in to tank the move, where I put in Swanna, because I think it's either going Flamethrower or Eruption. Fortunately, it goes Flamethrower. Swanna is, I believe, plus speed and barely lives the Shadow Ball, so we're able to get 2 Surfs off. And this is where my Swanna being plus speed nature with decent IVs is huge, because that, and being as bulky as he is, because able to live the Hisuian Typhlosion Shadow Ball on 4 HP is crazy. And now we go in Leafeon, we're going to get the Charm off to reduce the damage of all these attacks. We only take 26 super effective damage. And I try Giga Drain thinking I'll heal in line with whatever damage it does, and I remember that Leafeon has 60 special attack and something like 110 normal attack, so I decide I'm not going to do that anymore. We'll go with just Leaf Blade. We end up taking down the Dusknoir after a little bit of pain, and versus Sableye, I'm a little bit worried by this guy because Shadow Ball can randomly get a special defense drop, and I think I might be risking a death here, but I think I kind of have to. My Salazzle ends up getting down to 14 HP. If that were any more damage, then this run might have been a little bit cooked before it really started going. Especially because we hit Glacia, and Salazzle into Glacia is so... it's beautiful. And I end up going through everybody. I'm like, okay, I'll teach Electivire EQ just so that I have it. I was considering teaching Swanna Ice Beam, but I'm like, there may be a world where I want to set up Tailwind in this fight, so I don't want to get rid of it yet. And we're opening Salazzle. Oh, you see my desktop a little bit there. Open Flamethrower, obviously, we want to one-shot this guy before he gets Hail set up. In comes Walrein, and we're going to switch into Electivire on a Surf here, which does a lot of damage, a decent amount more than I expected it to, but we still get a pretty big Thunder Punch in return. Fortunately, we're not going to die to this next move, I believe, and we end up knocking it out with another Thunder Punch. I know this Frostlass is starting Hail, so I think I'll get a little bit of chip in with Thunder Punch. Of course, it dodges because this Frostlass dodges everything with its Snow Cloak. It's a very frustrating Pokemon to fight. In goes Lucario into Blizzard. I'm playing probably a little bit risky here because I'm clicking Meteor Mash, which is 90% accurate, into a Frostlass who gets 20% evasiveness and Hail. And I'm seeing, can I click EQ and kill this thing? I don't think so, because I don't have great attack IVs. End up, fortunately, hitting the Meteor Mash. Don't get the attack buff, but that's fine. We're not going to stay in anyways versus Ninetales, I don't think, because I don't want to miss the 90% chance and then the run's cooked. So, in comes Salazzle. We'll take a bit of chip damage here, but again, Salazzle, very good Pokemon. Outspeed Ninetales, even with very bad special attack IVs, I think, if I remember correctly, very bad special attack IVs. We almost one-shot. If we get a bit better with the Ivy Luck or maybe the roll, we end up one-shotting that, but it doesn't matter too much. We'll get another Flamethrower across, almost one-shot the Glalie, and that's going to be Glacia down. And so far, it's been pretty consistent. We haven't had any big Probopass into Magnet Pole Magneton blunders like I did in some of the gym phase. And now we're into Brandon, and I'm trying to think, what do I want to lead into this Alone Doug trio? And I end up going for Swanna because I know it's going to click Iron Head here if it outspeeds me, but Swanna with plus speed nature is so fast that it just outspeeds. I'm contemplating maybe Feather Dancing here to get a better switch in, but I think it's fine. We only take 26 damage, and my Swan is still full HP. And Regirock does hit very hard with a Hammer Arm, super effective Hammer Arm to Lucario, but now I'm thinking, can I close combat here in one shot? And you can. Adaptability close combat, Lucario does an obscene amount of damage. I'm wondering here if I'm kind of wondering if I should switch, because I think the Swampert's going to go for Protect, because it normally does. But even if it does, it's fine. I can just stay in. I can hit close combat twice if it doesn't end up protecting. Fortunately, I do one-shot the Rhyperior as well. And then the last Pokemon that he's going to send in Sligon, my Lucario, should still outspeed. And I'm vaguely risking the fact when I go for close combat here. Or I think I go for close combat, maybe not. Okay, I play it safe, which is probably intelligent. I know he's going to click EQ, so I can just go into Chimecho, and this is playing it overly safe. I don't need to click Yawn here. I'd be fine without it. But I'm just thinking, I don't want anything bad to happen. So I'm like, okay, we'll switch this. This is very dumb. I don't know why I'm doing this when I have Swanna. I'm doing this because I think I don't want Swanna to get hit by Rock Slide, but now I'm going to put Swanna in. No, I'm going to put Chimecho in again for some reason. And we go Boom Burst because it does more damage than Stab Extrasensory. It does a decent amount, but now we have to switch again. And I'm thinking, what Pokemon do I end up going for here? We go Swanna. I could have just made this play 2 minutes ago in-game, and I'd be fine. But, actually, I'm remembering now, I didn't go Swanna because I didn't teach this thing Ice Beam. Remember how about 5 minutes ago I said I wasn't teaching it Ice Beam because I might use Tailwind? I just forgot to teach it Ice Beam altogether. So that's why I didn't want to put it in, because I didn't want to risk getting killed by Rock Slide while not having Ice Beam. So unfortunately my Electivire's down, and now I've kind of got to pick up the pieces and ask myself, how am I going to knock out this Roserade, and how is the rest of the fight going to look like without a very good Wallymon in Electivire. And I decide I'm going to open Salazzle. We're just going to Flamethrower Trice, which is also a decent line. The Roserade always loves setting up Leech Seed into Toxic Spikes. And Salazzle outspeeds and definitely one-shots with Flamethrower. So we're able to knock out this Roserade for free. We take a bit of chip and get Leech Seed on us. I'm surprised Wally goes for Gallade here. I expected him to go for Garchomp EQ, and then I can put in Swanna and Ice Beam it, but instead I've got to adjust my line a little bit. So I know it's going to click Psycho Cut because that's what it sees kill with. And now I'm wondering, okay, what do I transition to here? It's going to go Leaf Blade, which does a lot of damage, more damage than I expected. I think I'm in roll range here with Chimecho, so I'm considering, do I want to put Leafeon in and tank the Leaf Blade, which I do. It ends up being Psycho Cut instead of Leaf Blade, which is very unfortunate, but I'm still just able to get a Charm off. It sees kill with Psycho Cut and Close Combat, so it just decides to click Psycho Cut. Close Combat doesn't do that much damage. Fortunately, we get a full restore out from Wally as well, so that's one less thing to worry about. And Leafeon pulling his weight, doing pretty well. In comes Garchomp, and I think at this HP it should see kill on Leafeon, so I think it's going to go a move. So it goes Flamethrower, as expected, and Swanna outspeeds, gets an Ice Speed him off, and we're going to be able to take out the Garchomp, and I believe we're going to get out the last full restore as well. So Swanna, again, I don't know what the speed ends up looking like without plus speed nature, but with plus speed nature, this guy is a demon. And here I'm just thinking it's versus the Magnezone with Sturdy. I'm like, okay, how do I break the Sturdy? I go Salazzle because I don't want my Swanna to die before Talonflame. I end up taking a ton of damage from Discharge. And unfortunately, I'm going to be able to knock this Magnezone out with Lucario Earthquake. But now we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, this might be a little bit risky for no reason. I'm like, I need to sack Chimecho here to get my Swanna in. And there might have been a world where I kind of needed to just go for a move with my Lucario there, because I know it's going to go Flame Charge. I know that now it outspeeds me. So this Brave Bird takes me down to 3 HP. And my Swanna, again, clutching the entire E4 run for me. We're going to get good chip on Azumarill with a crit. Swanna going out with a crit Brave Bird kind of has aura. And then Leafeon comes in and kind of cleans up the pieces that I kind of left strewn across the floor. So definitely a lot of places I could clean up here. And a lot of interactions that I could be more familiar with more experience with these Pokemon. But all in all, I really like this box. Standouts, obviously, Swanna, Salazzle, Electivire. But yeah, great box. To round out, I kind of wanted to make a list of where I think each of the Pokemon in the weekly box end up in a tier list. And this is somewhat based on how I think they would function in any box in general, but especially just how they felt using them in the context of this box, because that's what I'm basing it off of. I ran this box twice at the time of recording this video. I champed both of them, and this is my ranking for each of the Pokemon in general. They're a little bit ordered left to right. There's a lot of overlap. Like I could see you flipping these two. Impidimp I could see going down. Chingling I think maybe should go up because of Mega. I think Mega getting Steel type is actually pretty big for this mon. I think there's a little bit of wiggle room, but in general, I think Riolu, even though I didn't get as much out of it as I expected to, I think it's still a very good Pokemon. Your moveset is crazy. You get Close Combat, you get Meteor Mash, you don't even need the Egg move, apparently. You learn it naturally going into E4. You're mixed. You have great physical moves, you have decent special moves, you have good matchups for E4, fighting types, very good type in E4. I fought Wally, but if you fight Steven, fighting type is insane into Steven. Steel type is also great because you can switch into a lot of moves. I think you're immune to poison type moves in general. Great Pokemon. I did not get the fullest out of it as I think I could because I think a lot of the E4 especially I kind of rolled the wrong gyms for it, but I still think it's really good. Then Salandit. I love this Pokemon. I think it was this run that I got the video of where it effectively sweeps two gyms, but this guy's really good. Solo sweeps Spencer, solo sweeps Tucker, which is one of the harder E4 fights. You evolve a little bit late, and it feels kind of bad to not get Flamethrower for a while and to have to buy Sludge Bomb, but I think that that's worth it. This is a great Pokemon, and I think it should be going for a lot more than it is currently. I think it's averaging around 23 to 2500, and I think this is one of the best E4 Pokemon in the game pretty handily. Elekid, I really, really like using Elekid. I just really enjoy hard hitting Pokemon that get coverage moves, and you get Thunder Punch, Stab, which is obviously great. You get Ice Punch, you get Fire Punch if you want, and you get EQ. And on top of that, you have an Electricity immunity, which in the E4 isn't anything super crazy, but into Wally's Magnezone, it helps a little bit, and into Watson, it's helpful to have that immunity. But in general, this guy kind of piloted like Dusk Noir to me, and I love using Dusk Noir. I love Pokemon that get Ice type moves, and Ice Punch is a very good Ice type move that you don't have to spend 5k on, like Ice Beam. Swanna, another Pokemon that gets in Ice type coverage, which is beautiful for Drake. It's kind of reminiscent of Talonflame for me, but with a much better early game because you have Water Sport, you have Aerial Ace and Water Pulse. Early game for this guy. And going into the E4, you're decently fast. You're not as good as Talonflame in the E4, I think. But Water type's always great. You have a lot of speed. You are a decent mixed attacker. And I think that it can fill the niche that it needs to into E4. It won't hard carry you in the E4 because its stats aren't good enough. But it's good. It's definitely usable. Impidimp, I'm kind of torn between having Impidimp here or at the top of B. I put it in A because I think there's a lot of value that I didn't get out of it with Prankster, where I think that giving it either Reflect or Light Screen, depending on what your team needs more, I think can bring a lot of value to them. You get Fake Out, you get Sucker Punch, both of which are great moves. You have Spirit Break, which I also think is a good move. You're immune to Psychic. You're ultra resist Dark type while having super effective moves into it. I just think it's a very good Pokemon. Your gym phase is a bit sad, it feels like to me, but you still have Fake Out. You could still get some chip in. And like Gym 3, I think it's decent, but you fall off pretty hard until you get to Gym 7 when it evolves. Then kind of touched on it a little bit. I think Chimecho is just solid. Honestly, I could probably see it slotting into A as well. I could easily see it being above Swanna. Just because you get extra sensory so early, you're fully evolved. Gym 2, extra sensory is a good enough move that you don't feel pressured to spend 5k on a psychic TM, which I think brings a ton of value to it because it means you save money. Then you can spend that money instead on like a Shadow Ball TM, save 2k for berries or something. I think it's a very good Pokemon. It's good into Brawly early, especially. Like having this guy for Brawly 3 is very nice. Just throw a Cherry Berry on him for the Hariyama, and you pretty much have that gym sorted out. So, big fan of Chimecho. Nose Pass as well. I like Nose Pass. I don't think I use him to his fullest, but you're an ultra bulky steel type. You get good moves. You have Power Gem, you have Dazzling Gleam, you have Discharge. If you roll plus attack with high IVs, you can go Rock Slide, something like that. But generally, I think very good, very solid Pokemon. And I feel it would be good in the E4 with steel type coverage, very good into Tucker, which is important, and good into Glacia. Good into a lot of stuff. I like it. I just wouldn't put it above any of these other guys. And then last and least, we have Trico. This guy, Trico, was my first Pokemon ever. I like him, but in this game mode, Trico is a bottom 3 grass type, and grass is a very important typing in Blitz, especially during the gym phase, I feel. And the only thing that's keeping this guy from going all the way down to F, if not lower, is the fact that he starts the game with Leech Seed and gets Giga Drain naturally. But he feels very bad to use. You die to everything. I mean, in this run, we died to a flail from a Relicanth. Like, there's just so many issues that I have with this guy. and I want him to be good, and I'll probably run this box again at some point just to see if I can extract a bit more out. But the Mega's worthless. The stats that you get from it just aren't that good. The dragon typing does nothing aside from make you take super effective damage from ice and make you take neutral damage from fire. But even then, you're still getting nuclear bombed by everything. And you're one of the worst Giga Drain users in the game because you have no bulk to compensate with it. So, like, if you ask me if I'd rather have this for 2K or Venusaur for 4K, I'm going Venusaur for 4K. Um, and I think there's still some value. I could see him creeping up a little bit, just because, especially in some drafts, you really need a grass type. And I think as a grass type, it kind of serves its purpose. It resists electric. It's 4x effective into the Golem, into the Relicanth. So, but for me, using this Pokemon, I use it and I just think, please give me a better grass type. Don't give me this thing anymore. So, if you have to use it, you can. But yeah, not a big fan, which is why it's in D. And yeah, this is weekly box number 10. And hopefully, we'll be getting 11 out soon and we can get a few more people in. But thanks for watching. Peace.